with the newer access.
For Minichog, yeah, just Minichog though is.
Oh, yeah, like 110, 112.
What are they costing per point? What kind of technology's in them?
Yeah, I mean, what we had in the quote, you know, there's varying line items, they break it out, but just for the physical access point, I think thought it was close to $800 or around there maybe. I don't have the quote in front of me, so I don't.
Because they I know they go for,
Sounds about right.
well, high end is now around 600, you know, a little less. I mean, we're talking version 6, now 7's already.
So 7's out, you know, but you pay for 7, you're gonna pay.
Right, so the question is, would it be 6?
Yeah, they're 6.
Are they single band or dual band?
Dual band.
Yeah.
So some of the specs on it, it'd be interesting to see the specs on it.
Yep. I went through all that when we solicited the quote, you know, like I said, I didn't go for top of the line.
Which is good, that's
Yeah.
smart. But right now with, as with anything, the technology goes fast, different things change, prices change.
Right.
And I was just interested what they charge us as a commercial entity as opposed to what a consumer could buy on Amazon.
Yeah.
You know, and have the difference in
Yeah, it's a
prices, you know, just to see what it is.
It is.
I believe we're buying it off a state contract, correct?
Yeah,
they
we'd be
were-
using a state
Yeah.
contract.
Do you know which contract you're using?
Whatever the one of the mass, I don't know.
There's a bunch of them. ITT 40?
57,
IT 57.
it might be 57.
Yeah.
Or it probably says on the quote.
Yeah. Yeah, Bill looks at a couple different state contract vendors and looks for, you know, the best price.
Right.
But those are always, you know, we file for state contract and you gotta do it way in the past, you know, for what you're buying for now. It's not up to date necessarily, so something that files for the state contract will be a year and a half old.
Yes,
That's how that
yeah.
contract's-
A lot of the newer state contracts are doing it on a catalog basis. So it's a discount off of catalog. So as their catalog updates, their catalog stays current. So depending on the contract, different contracts work differently. So, you know, tractors, certainly the tractor doesn't change in, you know, 5 years. But like for an IT contract, oftentimes they base it on the catalog rather than a specific item.
To picture what the cost from the catalog would be for what you can get it for commercial, to see what the markup is on that.
And stuff. One of the good things about state contracts is it's not, you know, a lot of people think it's the absolute lowest price and then people find something for a little lower.
Yeah.
What they actually do is they actually have better warranties often, better agreements. So like our copier contract is a better contract than we would get in the private sector in terms of warranty and maintenance and things like that. So it's not necessarily lower cost, but we get a better value for what we're getting. You
Exactly.
usually get an extra year of service, things like that on it.
Extra year of service. They have certain things like the warranties have to be at a certain level.
Yeah.
So if the company's warranty is for 2 years, but the contract says it has to be X years, they have to match whatever the contract is asking for. So it's really one of these. It's not the best price, but it does usually have like, if you buy certain quantities,
Yeah.
it'll, you know, it's all worked in, but, you know, they do the best.
And for this quote, they would bundle in the years of support, you know,
Right.
with it, you know, 3 or 5 years, depending on what we get.
Anything else on the access points?
As Aaron mentioned, we've been in touch with IOT Consulting,
AOT?
yeah.
Yeah.
And I provided them our existing heat map today, you know, I got that over to them.
Okay.
So, you know,
Oh,
that's
that's
a start, at least, you know, they can look at, you know, with the Wi-Fi 6 access points, we may be at less than with our, you know, Wi-Fi 5. We'll see though, we'll see what they say.
Yeah.
Are these all hardwired?
Yeah, they're power over Ethernet.
Yeah.
Because one of the differences in technologies now, of course, is the newer ones have a separate band so they don't conflict when they talk to each other,
Yeah.
as opposed to having to wire it.
That was just the biggest thing, is especially at like stadiums, like Fenway Park. And you would have so many access points because you'd have, what, 40,000 people in that stadium.
Sure.
They're all pinging off each other. It was kind of a science to separate.
Channel management, you
Yeah.
know, that's all.
It's a
Yeah.
thing.
Yep.
And we keep talking about, you know, as we talk about the capital needs assessment and, you know, pushing it out 10 years, who knows what it's gonna look like in 5 years, right?
Right.
They may all just have a satellite
Satellite.
hovering above us that
Starlink.
provides, you know, Wi-Fi, so who really knows what that's gonna look like, but at least we'll have the best guess we can give to, you know, cost if all things stay the same. But things change so fast in this.
Yeah, the quote's probably already outdated too, so.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, definitely refresh it before we.
Yes, I mean,
Yeah.
I gave, it, you know, Aaron and I looked at that quite a while ago, but it's the latest one that I had, so.
That's great. Anything else, Rich, we good? All right, let's go to the camera system update. This is
Sure.
all from Minichog.
Yep, so I had not gotten a, sort of an estimate back from Collins Electric. I just emailed them, asking for an update. They do have, through Avigilon, they have access to a grant person. I think I may have mentioned this
Oh,
last
wow.
time. So, yeah, so Avigilon is doing so much sort of public sector stuff now that they hired a full-time grant person. I mean, they're a big national company, so we only get a very small piece, but he's keeping his eyes open on every grant nationally. So we've put Bree Bernesh in touch with him.
Oh,
So to some degree, they're gonna look, I still wanna get, you know, that'll be whatever Avigilon we get from Collins Electric will kind of be our baseline, right? And then when we figure out if we ever have money, right, if we ever have access, then we'll, you know, definitely get 3 quotes, we'll get, you know, go through that process. Like you said, you'd like to look at other vendors, but at least we have that Avigilon kind of Collins Electric number for the time being that can serve as our sort of baseline. Right, so,
No problem.
I'm sorry I don't have more update on that.
No, it's
I
fine.
kind of expected I'd have an estimate by now, and we don't, so. But, you know, no one's throwing money at us either, so.
Right. Is that part of AOT's coverage?
Yeah, the camera is part of AI, yeah.
Just to, again, say, I used to work with Mark
Mhm.
Ayotte, I think it was 4 or 5 years ago. Other than calling to tell him that we were looking for someone who he would recommend, I have not spoken to him ever since.
And he was low bidder, and he's doing a fine job, he's living this, you know, he's.
You know, to see the specs on the camera, you know, and
Yeah.
what they, how they
If you wouldn't
compare.
mind sharing, you know, the access point quotes and the camera quotes with
For
Rich,
sure.
you know,
Just
just
know,
let us
the actual
get into
items,
it.
like what the specs are.
Mhm.
Items. I know in our own office, we have a fancy schmancy system with all the screens, and we're looking to replace it with the
Yeah.
system I have at my house is cheaper and better than the one we have at the
Yeah.
office for all the money we're spending on it.
Right.
And more visibility, more control of the cameras, more whatever. So it's, we're looking to replace it actually, you know, given
Mhm.
that big contract we have for the security system, because things have changed so much, you probably put it in 20 years ago.
Right.
And the cameras is a, you know,
Yeah.
an item now that they're all like, you know, the lens, and they're really cheap.
I think, you know, we'll also, one of the other items that's just technology related, just to touch on another item since we seem to have some time in terms of our agenda.
Yeah.
One of the other items that AOT's gonna be looking at is our Chromebook fleet as well. Hi Doug, how are you?
Good.
We're doing the technology, come on in.
Technology first, then we're gonna head
Yeah.
on.
All right, cause I checked the calendar and
Yeah,
it was on for 5 and 6, and I
Yeah.
said,
I think it's 6 to 7 today because
right,
you don't have a meeting at 6 today.
right, exactly, yeah.
Have a
That's
seat.
why I'm a little
Um,
confused.
Yeah.
It's all right.
So what that was leading into is you'll see on the budget and finance reports I'm gonna share, we have moved classroom technology and
Thank you.
Chromebooks into the operating budget as we discussed. So that'll be a separate line item, but Mark will also be, you know, giving feedback on life cycles for Chromebooks and, you know, where things stand on that. I mean, that's kind of a harder one because that technology just, you know, whips by, and we're gonna be changing them every year. We're gonna be buying a certain number every year. But if he has any thoughts or ideas on that, he'll give that.
Good. Good.
Yeah. projectors too, so we're looking at projectors. I think you guys have even had some, when we had our initial conversation, Bill and he had some conversations on projectors, and I think as we've shared, Bill's looking at a couple, for the current projectors we're buying, we're sort of at that point where, you know, there's one major technology that's starting to phase out and a new one that's phasing in, which means, A, the technology that's phasing out, we can get for a really good price, right? And the newer technology, the technology phasing out is projectors with actual lamp bulbs, right?
Right.
And newer projectors are all laser-based projectors that won't have a bulb, so,
And will blow out after.
They have something,
yeah, but it,
anytime, I mean, obviously, we had the bulbs, and they had a life cycle, and carried them all over the place. It's a few years now, since they went with, you're talking about the laser or the LED bulbs, the ones I have now have 10 times longer life expectancy.
Yes.
That's not necessary, so it does need to be replaced eventually,
yes.
whatever's trying to sound like forever.
Yeah, a lot, so they're, all
And
the,
they're
all
pretty
the
cheap, too.
projectors are, you know, they're these short throw projectors, and they're all, their life cycle is based not in years, but in hours of use.
Yeah.
So we have some teachers who use them a tremendous amount, they're on
Right.
all day, every day. So you can go through bulbs, it's still in a matter of years, it'll take usually a couple of years. But some bulbs, we have some projectors that are original to the building, and the bulbs are still going,
The
right?
bulbs are expensive too.
Well, yeah,
But the new ones, we bought a bunch of them for about $7.99. They're really bright, 3,000
Yeah.
lumens, and they're small, like
Yeah.
maybe less than a quarter the size of that thing, and they're short throw. So even with the newer technology, I don't know how much they are with bulbs, but you still buy them. I cannot imagine buying a bulb one again, just because of the replacement cost and changing
so it's
bulbs.
just, yeah, the technology's kind of leapfrogging, so where Bill's kind of, you know, I think getting the best value he can for that, and it may be that, you know, we do buy the bulb based, and in the future, aren't those nice?
Yeah.
Those are our new technology devices, if you tap the top, you can turn them on,
So
so
it's a mic.
I feel like it
It's
makes
a-
us
it's a
look
mic.
like,
It looks like almost like a little pinball lamp.
yeah, I feel like they make us look like a
What
law
colors?
firm,
Yeah,
don't they look like law firm
But
lamps?
they should be green though.
They
Well,
should, I was
maybe,
just,
yeah, okay,
John,
there's the
I
green
was
ones
thinking
too,
that's
yeah.
what we should,
I think of those as
Actually,
more
that
like
would-
library ones, these look like law firm.
The green ones are accountants. You know.
I don't know, so, but yeah, you know, John picked this technology out, he didn't even consult with Bill, it was amazing. So anyhow.
You're saying bulbs. I was
Candles.
saying that I would not recommend bulbs. I mean,
Yeah,
the thing with bulbs is because they're burning out all the time, if you're in the middle of a presentation, you kill the whole hour. It's not like, oh, let's get another
Right.
projector, let's get another bulb.
right,
So you'd much rather have the
yeah,
newer ones, which aren't expensive,
Right.
it's a lot less likely to burn out.
yeah.
So is the equipment phasing then? Some of it's.
Yeah,
bulbs
so
and some
there's,
of it's
we're
LED?
phasing between two
Laser and
technologies, bulb technology and bulbless technology. Some of the, you know, many of our projectors have lasted 8, 10 plus years with bulbs. And right now, the new generation is laser, so they have no bulbs whatsoever. And correct me if I'm wrong in any of this, Bill.
No,
but
you're right.
we may be able to get really incredible prices on some of the bulbed ones, and get more of them, replace more of them now, and they'll last. But with them, we'll need to know that some of them may start, you know, as we're talking about, we'll have to, you know, continuously replace them. But at some point, we may move more to the laser technology. You know, with everything, prices kind of come down over time, and, you know, the bulbs will be, bulb technology will be gone, but then maybe we won't be able to buy bulbs, right?
Oh, but the thing is, what was $3,000 for really, you know, a lot of lumens,
Yeah.
it's now a lot less for a lot, it's like 900 with the LEDs or laser, the newer technology, so the prices come down so far already.
Yeah, that's
I
right.
don't even see the bulb ones, that's why I wouldn't even mention bulbs, I would go with those guys.
We got both just to compare, you know, we're
Yeah.
probably only gonna be able to replace a bunch of them with the lasers, you know, based on.
You would, yeah.
So I did it as an option, that way we could look, we can either replace a whole bunch of them, you know.
Like what are the costs per
Yeah.
units you looking at?
So I have a follow-up meeting tomorrow with one of my vendors to get up to speed and review the quote, and, you know, so hopefully I'll have some more info.
These are all wireless connection, you don't have to plug it anymore, right?
They're wired in,
I'm talking about
oh.
when you bring your
yeah.
laptop, that's the key thing, we want the new ones too, you bring your laptop,
Okay, yeah.
you hit Control K and it connects without having to have a wire, and you gotta plug it into each one.
Possible, yes, a little more difficult to manage in the school environment.
Actually, those have really become pretty easy,
Yeah,
because I have salespeople that don't know anything about anything, and you Control K and it shows right
Well,
up.
I know something about your product.
They know about the product, but they certainly don't know about projectors, and it used to be hard. How do you get it to work, how do you get it to go, whatever, and so I do tell them to carry a cable just in case, but it's Control K makes it so much nicer not having to. And the old thing was that the speed used to be bad, that if you shot a video, it would like jump, and now no more. So there's all these new ones, and one I said again, is like $800 or $900 with the long lifespan laser. They all come wireless now. So that's what you should look for, is make sure they're wireless.
So it'll have it regardless, you know, the newer models will have it anyway. Most of our rooms are hardwired, you know,
Okay.
there's no sense to undo that or.
Anyhow.
No, if it's there, but what makes it nice is if you're there and you wanna say somebody else, you wanna connect your computer, whatever you work, so
Yep.
everybody else can see it. Hit a key, this person disconnects, that person connects, and everybody can see
Yeah,
what they're doing, so it makes,
just have to make sure we're careful about letting students
Yes.
project anything
Oh,
they
yeah.
wish.
yes.
And that's one of the struggles with the wireless connectivity,
Yeah.
that, not that we can't do it, it's,
Well, nobody would have the right to do it unless you, it's almost like Zoom by default, nobody else can connect unless you open it up.
Yeah. I remember the early days of Zoom and the
Yes.
Zoom bombing. I was in the
Don't
Marine
remind
Corps, we
me.
got heavily Zoom bombed.
And they,
and
Don't remind me.
they changed that pretty
that was
quick.
rough. Yeah, they got on that, but we had a pretty ugly event in one of our COVID meetings in my last district.
Wow.
Yeah, we had hundreds of people on, right, for the whole COVID thing, and people came in and started putting some pretty inappropriate images on. Yeah, it was
Wow.
ugly. We finally got someone who knew what to do, because the people were also coming in, they'd mimic, you know, other people's names who were supposed to be there, so and they were fast. So immediately, you know, they'd come in, and I'd have 3 Bill Powers, and I didn't know which Bill Powers to kick out, right? And I'd kick them out, and then they'd come back in under something else. Oh, yeah, it was,
For what purpose?
yeah.
It's
Just
just be a
to hurt
nuisance.
people, just to be a nuisance?
to wreak
Yeah,
havoc.
was absolutely what it was.
Civic
Hilarious.
vandals, Sean, civic vandals.
And I say hilarious with
Yeah.
so much
Yeah, it was
sarcasm.
awful. Yeah, it took us about 30 minutes to get through it, and someone who knew what he was doing got on and partnered with me, so I ran the meeting, and he just kept.
And do you remember anything about that meeting other than the fact that it got?
Right.
No, nothing at all, nothing at all, no. I know there were a lot of people outraged that we were closing schools and doing things.
I guess one more thing while we're on this too. I think it was 6, 7 years ago, I actually worked with Rich Rediker over at Rediker.
Oh, yeah?
So we
Okay.
should probably just to clear the air on that. Not that we've talked about anything or we're having any dealings with that, but just to clear the air.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I like being above board on it.
Okay.
Just a question about the bulbs, and what makes me think of this is when the old high school was torn down, the district did an auction,
Mm-hmm.
and Ed had pallets of bulbs.
Bulbs?
Bulbs.
Light bulbs.
All kinds of light bulbs.
Hmm.
And I remember looking at it thinking, wow, I mean, and there was like every size and shape and.
I bet you a lot of the overhead. and
Exactly, it was
bulbs,
50 years of fixtures in a building and all the different things.
Yeah.
So as we're going through these projectors, not just projectors, but anything, are we trying to standardize and keep one, whatever the device is?
Good question. I try to, just because that makes for an easier management, from our IT, eyes. Sometimes we can't do that, so,
But our overhead lights for the most part are LEDs, correct?
yeah.
LEDs or CFLs right now.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a combo.
Yeah, those bulbs, for those old ones, are almost a third to half the cost of a new projector. And if you touch them with your fingers, you can end up.
Use
blowing
those.
Oh,
them.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So they're not fun, so if you're doing a presentation, it's not good. You don't wanna carry them with you, you don't wanna jostle it,
Yeah.
so it's, to get projectors without bulbs is
Yeah.
a huge advantage.
The Epson bulbs, lamps, they're like 80, 90 bucks.
I'm just saying to the extent that we can standardize it.
Yeah.
I think that's become more of a norm, that things get more standardized. I know when I went to LEDs in my house, it was about 10 years ago, I haven't changed a light bulb since,
Yeah.
yeah, so.
So it's nice to be able to do them all at once, you
Yeah.
know, sometimes we don't have that luxury.
Right.
But I try to standardize as best I can. you know.
Geez, I remember like every year you'd have to change your light bulbs and stuff,
Oh,
now
yeah.
it's just
Yeah,
plug them in and.
With the new ones, it'll be just like that, you won't be changing light bulbs, so it doesn't matter as much if you get a better projector for cheaper price, I'd get it, because it's probably never gonna have
Right on.
change.
Hi.
Cool, how are
Here's
you?
here's the technology.
This is Bill Metzger, my friend from Southbridge, who
Hello.
also
Hi.
happens to live in the district.
Oh,
For those of you, you know, Bill's also taken on the boosters.
Yeah.
So we're at the, kind of towards the end of our technology.
No
meeting.
problem.
We've kind of talked about wireless access points and cameras and Chromebooks and projectors.
Future meeting dates, I guess, is the next on the agenda, without Bill here. I don't, is there a reason why we would need to meet more than once a month at this point,
I don't think so.
right? Why don't we get a date,
Yeah.
we'll run it by Bill afterwards.
Could we do, February 19th is gonna be vacation week, do we wanna do the 12th?
I am leaving the afternoon of the 12th and coming back the evening of the 27th.
Okay,
So I could do it, you know, if I could leave like at 6-ish or so on the 12th, if you want to do it then, you know, if I'm out of here by 6, I can do that after get to.
Yeah,
I
we do
think there
5 to
might be
6
a-
again.
there might be a, so, just for the 12th, for budget and finance, just to dovetail things.
Yeah.
We're gonna dovetail things. The 5th is actually kind of out for me for budget and finance, but I could do the 29th, which is just in a week from today.
Yeah.
We could try, hopefully, I could knock on wood hope that the governor's budget might be out on the 29th, and I might be able to have an update by then. Would we be interested in penciling one in for the 29th, the budget and finance,
Of
and for the
February?
29th?
Oh, of this,
Yeah, which is
well, we
next.
wouldn't,
which is a
well, we
week
wouldn't
from-
really need, we're talking right now, just talking.
Yeah, I'm just
Of course, it's an extra
thinking
day, it doesn't
how we
matter.
dovetail things, if we want to dovetail, or, so, yeah, sorry, I'm getting into other stuff. With the
Why
12th,
why don't we say February 12th
okay,
for technology,
At
5 to 6 o'clock,
yeah.
and that works for Rick.
Sorry about that, I'm trying to juggle multiple things and think about both of them at the same time, as I'm doing that.
But we wouldn't need to meet?
We wouldn't need to do both of them at the same time, I'm just throwing
Okay.
out
Back to back.
the, yeah. Yeah.
4:30's out for that day, right? I'm getting out of here, getting to New York.
Yeah, 5 is the earliest I'm gonna be able to.
Five to 5:30 might be good.
You got it. Well, that's what today's gonna be. All right, and, when Eric comes back, we'll tell her that. And, so, I guess we're going to, do I have a motion to adjourn? Rich,
I make a motion to adjourn.
second it, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, all right, opposed, there's no one else. All right, the meeting is adjourned,
Beautifully lit.
thank you very much.
Hey, Bill, we're good.
Are these taped? Is this-
Yeah.
is this-
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything you said can be used against you in the future.
Yeah, I got my business license.
It's still recording, by the way.
That's why I asked, because
Yeah, until, I think everyone's had.
Yeah, you're stuck with me, I guess, I don't know.
Here's
the
the
way
hand.
for it. I did print out some stuff on, I
assume
printed out
that
some cherry sheet information. if you know
local
what
access,
cherry sheets-
local
okay.
and local
So I
access-
thought, you know, I pulled out actually
Are
Southbridge's
they
from
two
last
different
year
organizations?
and ours from last year, so it's something
It's
we
been a
could
while
just
since
walk
I
through
looked, but
it.
I think.
Yeah.
we
But
can
also,
get local access.
We want, I mean, we can do it another time.
When
but
it came
then,
in years back,
I also
John
pulled out some
M.
stuff on circuit breaker, I don't know how familiar you
You
are
are
with the
Board of
circuit breaker
Selectmen,
process,
basically.
what that looks like.
So, I mean,
So,
Wow.
Andy didn't jump on.
I wouldn't say I'm over, I mean, I know it's,
Yeah.
stopgap.
So I was, actually, I was
Yeah.
working with Rich,
Yeah,
and we had people
It's probably the best
coming
explanation.
from all
Yeah,
around the
yeah.
world to
So
the
there's,
conference.
In a bar room where nobody knew what circuit breaker was, I'm
And,
sure I'd be
we
an
go in
expert
this
with that
meeting and
answer.
we're
but,
talking-
okay.
Woman stops me,
Right,
she
I
says,
mean, the big thing
"Are you a
is,
school
like, for the most
committee?"
part, on
Hammond,
the business
Hammond,
side, we're not the one
district,
doing
and
the
I was
actual
like,
claim. But I think it's
Yeah,
nice to
I
know
mean,
what goes into it.
You're from
right?
it was somewhere.
So I've
Africa.
attended the actual circuit
What?
breaker workshops.
And said, yeah,
right?
just,
Here's-
yeah, I started,
here's
it
how
was
to
on
do
local
the
access
circuit
from the
breaker
hotel
We're
room.
still live.
I watched
everybody.
Okay,
3
you pulling
meetings
this
in a
off?
row.
Sure.
It was amazing. She was, it was so